Coming to you from deep in the heart of Texas, this is Punk Brats, a podcast focused on the lives and experiences of our military brats. We didn't serve, we got served. Now here are your Punk Brats, Rose and Lisa.
Hi everybody, it's Rose.
And this is Lisa, and welcome to another episode of Punk Brats. Well, here we are again, Rose.
Yeah, can you believe it?
Well, I think a few people have listened to us from what I've checked on our numbers, and it's exciting, you guys, because the minute we hit 200, I was like, what? 200 people are interested in listening to us?
I know, I was so surprised because, to be honest with you, my personal goal was, I was like, if I can get like 20 people to listen, that would be so cool.
Exactly.
And then you said it was 200. I was shocked.
We're probably past that now. I'm just so excited. Yeah, it's exciting. So thank you to everybody out there who has supported us on our pilot episode. We couldn't have done it without you guys, and we hope you'll continue to listen.
Yeah, thank you so much. Friends, family, everybody out there, and new friends, strangers that have reached out to us.
Yes.
It's been really cool.
Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Our Instagram page is Punk Brats USA, and Facebook, we're just Punk Brats. So it's August and school's back. How's it going so far, Rose? How are the kids?
Well, it's nice to be back in school and seeing everybody. And what's really cool is that while I was doing some of my professional development training, I saw a teacher with an Army shirt, and I went up to her and I asked her if she was in the Army. And she told me no, that she was an Army brat. So I got to plug our show.
That is so cool. So yes, please plug our show.
I know. Remember, we used to complain about waking up every day in Germany to mist and fog. And it was just kind of dreary.
I don't think we ever woke up. The sun never even came out till like 10 or 11, right? Like every morning we woke up to some type of misty fog every day. And now I'm waking up to 135,000 degrees. I'm melting. Look, I'm a native Texan and I can't even handle this heat. But, you know, I'm an August baby. I just had my birthday. And
yes,
I can
Lisa,
say
happy
that.
Birthday.
Thank you. But I can, and our mother, I share a birthday with my mom, and happy anniversary to my sister Rose and her husband Craig. So, okay, that's a little side shot out there. But this heat, it's just, it's unbearable. I don't remember it ever being this hot. So I pray for everybody out there who cannot get away from this type of heat. And it's just unbearable.
I don't know. I kind of like it. I know I'm weird, but I do like the heat. And I love this Texas heat. I don't ever want it to be cold. I know. I'm laughing. I'm trying to hold back my laughter.
Oh, you? Why? You have a cute laugh.
Well, no, I'm trying to hold back my laughter because every time someone complains about the heat and I tell them how much I like it, they look at me like I'm really strange. And I'm just like, no, I really like the heat.
Well, there are days now that I look back to when we were living in Germany, and I do miss that weather. So, but anyway, okay. So let's update everybody from this last episode from our pilot. Rose, you got some information for us? You got some updates for us?
Yeah. So if you remember from our last episode, we introduced a segment called Did You Know? And I talked about DODS schools. Well, while researching, I found out that DODS, or DODDS, was actually an acronym for Department of Defense Dependent Schools. Well, that was changed to DODEA, which is an acronym for Department of Defense Education Activity. So on the last podcast, we were wondering how many DODEA schools there were. Do you want to guess?
Yeah.
Yes.
How many there are around the world? Holy
yeah.
Cow. 75?
You may want to double that. Actually, it's 160 accredited schools. They're located in 8 districts, and they are in 11 foreign countries. 7 states, including 2 territories, Guam and Puerto Rico.
Oh my gosh. They're just brats all around the world. We're everywhere.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. What I was really surprised about is that there are DODEA schools in the States. But then I started thinking about it. It's like on the bases, there would be schools that are located on bases. So that would be that.
That would make them a DOD school. Well, do they still call it DOD school? So, I mean, do you still refer to it as a DOD school, or are they calling it DOD?
It's DODEA. And I guess it depends on which generation of.
It's always going to be DODs for me.
So, yeah, for me, I mean, I identify with the DOD schools. Yeah. It's so hard for me to say DODEA.
Yeah, that's hard. A lot of D's.
Yeah.
Dang. A lot of D's.
Just trying to get that segment out and say Department of Defense Dependent Schools. It's almost like a tongue twister.
So, Rose, how I like to highlight some brats in the news?
Yeah.
I've got a few brats to highlight today. There is this wonderful organization out there called Operation Homefront.
What's Operation Homefront?
They are a nationally recognized 501c3 organization who builds strong, stable, and secure military families so that they can thrive and not simply struggle, to get by in their communities. And not only do they recognize their families, they actually are now in their 16th year of recognizing a military child of the year. And these kids are just remarkable military kids between the ages of 13 and 18. They represent all the branches of the military, but it's what they do that's remarkable. Like some of these kids have earned their Eagle Scout, some have gone on to raise thousands of dollars in their community, or they've just gone above and beyond to be recognized. And you know what the prizes for winning or just becoming the military child of the year? Guess what they get?
I have no idea.
They get $10,000.
Wow. Oh my gosh, $10,000?
Yes, it doesn't stop there. They get a laptop computer.
Uh-huh.
They get all these donated gifts by sponsors. So they get like like the Oscars or the Grammys, they get this good
like a swag bag.
The swag bag. And they get to go to Washington, D.C. with the parent.
Oh, that's so cool. One of my favorite cities.
So I want to highlight the 2023 Military Child of the Year by branch. And just, take a minute because these kids deserve for their names to be known out there. And here we go. Lewis Gear for the Air Force. Mackenzie Hanna for the Army. Hayden Jones for the Coast Guard. Hannah Marie Tokiwa for the Marines. Jason Griggs for the National Guard. Gemma Bates for the Navy. And Haley Schreiner for the Space Force. Let's give a round of applause for these kids, right?
Yeah, I'm clapping.
Sure. Yes.
Hear me clapping.
And you know what? If you know a brat to nominate, the submission period for the 2024 Military Child of the Year Awards is quickly approaching. So for more information, visit www.operationhomefront.org to nominate a kid, a military brat.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Glad I could share that.
So, Lisa, I'm pretty excited about introducing our next guest. You and I both know him as a friend from Camp Zama Middle School. Well, your middle school. I was in high school at the time. He is a Capitol policeman who went on Shark Tank. And
that's very cool.
He's going to tell us a little bit about his unique and innovative idea of a tie holder called Total Tie Key.
Oh, wow. Well, let's bring him on out. Dwight Andre Littlejohn.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
Appreciate you having me. I'm doing good.
Good. And we appreciate you being on our show today because we know extremely how busy you are.
Yeah. I can be from time to time, but I'll always make time for you ladies.
Well, we really appreciate it. Just a little bit of background. Rose and I attended school with Dwight Andre Littlejohn back at Camp Zama in Japan back in the 80s. Andre and I went to school together. We're the same grade. We're going to talk about his name Littlejohn later. But anyway, Rose, I know you had a couple of questions regarding.
Hi, Andre.
Hello, Rose. How are you?
I'm well. It's good to talk to you.
You as well.
So I like to start off all our interviews with the dreaded question. How do you feel when someone asks you, where are you from?
Wow, that's a very good question. I get that a lot. I have to kind of gauge their attention span. If I feel like it's a legitimate question from the heart, then I'll hit the military aspect of it and, kind of go through all the places that I've been. But if it's just a quick little jab, I usually just claim North Carolina because that's where I spent most of my childhood.
Okay.
But it gets it gets very interesting when somebody's actually like, really concerned or really like questioning, then I can like roll down the whole list of Georgia, Virginia, Japan.
Well, cool. Can you go through that with us? Let us know. Yeah, give us the whole story.
Yeah.
Okay.
Start where you were born.
Okay. I was born in Newark, New Jersey. And then after that, I moved to Spindale, North Carolina. It's a very small town just outside of Charlotte. And then my mom joined the military when I was about 5. So she left and went to Germany, and I went back to Newark, New Jersey to live with my grandmother. Then when she left Germany, she came and got me and took me to Augusta, Georgia. So I was in Augusta, Georgia, the early part of middle school. And then the two of us went to Japan. This is where I met you two lovely ladies.
Yeah.
So I was in Japan from the middle school until 11th grade. And then after that, I went back to Spindale, North Carolina, because, I knew people there. I didn't want to start all over. You know how challenging it could be starting all over from school to school when you're in the new guy.
Right.
So I went back to Spindale. And from there, I went to Raleigh, North Carolina to go to college when I graduated. I went to NC State. Went back, by the way. And then after that, I moved to Washington, D.C., and I've been here since.
We have a visual because we're on Zoom, but what's funny is nobody saw you do that.
What? Okay, that's all good. That's all good. Hopefully you can hear
you said, so we interviewed, our first pilot episode, the brat said the same thing. He used the word new kid, but you said something really interesting that I've never really heard. When someone asks you where you're from, you think about who's asking you that.
Right.
I stumble every single time someone asks me, hey, where are you from? Mm-hmm. Just that military setting sits in. And I'm just like, and then I feel like I have to explain everything, but right. you just helped me. Right. I think I now can gauge that question and answer it now, depending on who's asking me.
Yeah. And I've done it a lot, throughout my travels since I left Japan. I meet a lot of different people. So it's kind of it's almost a piece of art to kind of navigate through that question. So I'm used to it.
Yeah. I get the same thing too when I meet people, and if they ask me, where are you from? And I said this on the last episode too. I just dread it. Yeah. I don't know why, and then I guess you can kind of just gauge the situation, and you see, are they asking because they're really interested, or are they just making small talk?
Right. Yeah. And I know every time I get to the Japan part of my life, being a Black guy, it's always like, what? Oh my God, can you speak any Japanese? And I'm like, I know a few cuss words. So when I first got to Japan, I remember listening to the radio. And when I was there, Madonna was hot, right? And Like a Virgin was like the song. And I heard a Japanese version of it. And it just blew my mind because I had never heard a song in a foreign language. So when I got back to America, I would tell people I knew how to sing Like a Virgin in Japanese, but I would just make up the words as I was going. They had no idea what I was saying. It worked every single time. And one time I did it. It was a girl I was trying to date. So, I was trying to impress her. So I threw my Japanese at her, and it wasn't really Japanese. And she actually applauded. She actually applauded when I got to the end of the song because she actually thought that I was really singing. But
was she impressed? And did you get the date? Did you get to
I got the date, and I ended up dating her for 6 years. I hope that was the only thing, the only reason why
Well, you talk about Japan. One of the things Littlejohn can back me up on this is when we movies like Flashdance came out, and remember the break dancers? Well, Littlejohn, you guys, during lunch hour, all the guys would run to the lunchroom while us girls sat back and watched them, and they would break dance. And they would compete against each other. But we had this little group of friends who took over the mats under the gym. Remember, like in the gymnasium. And Littlejohn, his name, it's so ironic because he was tiny. And if you go to our website, you'll see a picture of him. But when did you have your growth spurt? Not in eighth grade.
No, actually in college, believe it or not.
I was taller than you through eighth grade.
Right. When I graduated high school, I was only like 5'6". And then I went to college and I grew, 5-6 inches, which was crazy. Yeah. I have a picture.
So it does happen.
I don't know. I know I have a picture. Yeah. I have a picture of myself with my mom when I graduated high school. And my mom is 5'8", and I'm like 2 inches shorter. And then when I graduated college, I'm like towering over.
Well, because Rose's son is 19 and he's 6, what, Rose?
6. I think he's like 6'1", 6'2".
And I feel like he's going to grow again. I feel like he's going to surpass his father.
No doubt. I thought that was like the law of nature for a son to outgrow his father. I've always heard that. I don't know how true it is. But,
my husband is a little under 5'10", and his father was 6'2".
Well, I guess it's not all the way down.
Hey, Andre, speaking of Japan, I want to know, how did you feel when your mom came home and told you we were moving to Japan? Like,
wow, yeah.
What was that
do remember
feeling?
that day. I remember that day like it was yesterday. I was very excited just simply because it's always exciting to do something different. I was from a small country town in North Carolina in the 80s. So it was a certain kind of way. I'll just leave it at that. So it was nice to kind of get away. My mom, the best thing she ever did for me was to join the military, because it got me out of that situation for the most part. And it got me to see the world and meet a lot of people, grow up with a diverse circle of friends that, there's nothing like Zama friends. You guys know what I'm talking about. Nothing.
Absolutely.
I don't think anybody that went to high school with us, they all feel the same way. Everybody feels the same way.
Well, you and I were middle school. I never got to go to Zama High School.
Yeah, that's true. You missed out. I'm sorry. I did too. I left in my senior year, but it was. I left right. It was tough too. But to get back to the question that Rose asked, I was a little nervous too, just simply because, anytime you're young and moving to another place, it's always a little nerve wracking. I know every stop that I ever made, I always got into a fight. Wow. The fight that I got in Zama was with Chico. Remember Chico?
Chico Loren, let's do a shout out because I know he might be listening.
Yeah, that was my guy.
Boy, another break dancer.
We ended up being really good friends, but that's what happens. Family fights.
It's middle school,
and that's what we did. Right? We had got in a couple fights, but through all of that, we remained the best of boys. And even to this day, I still consider him a dear friend. But
was it over who was the better break dancer?
No.
No, you don't need to tell us what it was. It's middle school. It was petty, I'm sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, can I ask you a quick question? I have a quick question. Of the places like you've lived, where's your favorite? Other than Japan, obviously where else did you really, really enjoy and have like friends that you left behind that you're still in touch with?
Yeah, probably college, my college years in Raleigh.
Okay.
A lot of my friends were electrical engineers, so they stayed in the Research Triangle Park in the Raleigh area. Mm-hmm. And for a while, I was trying to get back there and trying to find something there. But, DC being pretty much the federal capital of the United States, it was just where I needed to be.
Speaking of DC, what do you do for a living?
Well, I work for the United States Capitol Police. I'm a federal agent. I'm in the protection side of things. So we basically do the same thing for members of Congress that the Secret Service does for the executive branch, the president and his cabinet. So each branch of the government has its own police agency, and we're the police agency for the congressional branch of government.
Well, we appreciate your service.
Interesting. Well, yes, thank you so much.
Thank you. And I've seen you on TV a couple of times.
Oh, did you now?
Yeah. Well, like pictures, I guess, freeze frame. Yes. Right. I won't say which leader you were protecting, but you just have a very important job. And I do remember the one time you came through Austin, you gave me a shout out for me and Chris to come meet you for a few minutes, and you were at the Four Seasons Hotel.
Yeah.
Well, this particular incident, the Kings were in the playoffs or something. See a bunch of group of people, and they stopped because they wanted to watch the basketball game. You remember that?
I do.
And so that was why you came into Austin, because they took a pause out of their day to watch the game. And so I was lucky because we got to see you.
Yeah. But that was awesome.
It's a great experience to have that kind of job. I'm sometimes jealous, thinking like it would have been fun to be a cop or something exciting like that.
Well, I mean, there are some, really powerful moments. But it's a lot of standing, a lot of travel, being away from the ones you love. So that part of it is not great. But,
well, we appreciate what you do.
Well, thanks.
Very much so.
Thank you.
Tying in the whole being is it Capitol Policeman? Is that
Correct.
What they're called?
Capitol Police.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming that you have to be well dressed. And coming with that, we saw you on an episode of Shark Tank. I want to talk to you about that.
Okay, sure.
So, saw you on an episode of Shark Tank. You were promoting the Total Tie Keep. And I just had a few questions about that. And I wanted to know, how did you come up with the idea of Total Tie Keep, and how you decided to go on Shark Tank to promote that?
Well, my job, right? I'm around a lot of well-dressed, important people. So, and I do notice that in a lot of cases, when I walk into a room, I don't even say anything to anybody. And this is one of the things I said on the show. Just my appearance alone is what I hope is enough to keep people from misbehaving. And a huge part of that is the way you're dressed. That's the first thing people recognize is your appearance, and they equate that with a certain level of confidence. At least I know I do. So
yes, absolutely, I agree.
Right. With that being said, I felt like the necktie is what is the most important single component of business attire. So when that's straight and neat and not stained or wrinkled or waving to the side or blowing in the wind, it just makes you look more crisp and more sharp. So I had to think of a way. I wasn't a big fan of the tie bars because I thought they were a little old school, although they made a return now. They're kind of, most of the things are kind of circular anyway. But I wanted a little something different, something that could control my tie without being seen. And one day I was putting on my belt. Believe it or not, my belt is what actually gave me the idea when I started using the loops. I'm like, wait a minute, if I use these loops to hold the rear of my tie, and then I just figure out a way to get something to attach to the buttons on my shirt with those loops, then I can slide that rear piece in and then loop it around the back of the tie label. And you have no idea what that is because you don't wear ties. But anyway.
Hey, she did in the 80s. No, she wore ties in the 80s.
Oh, okay, yeah, but that was like the little hanging.
Yeah, I'm talking when we were in Zama. Remember, it was really popular in the early 80s. So.
Yep, but that's pretty much how I came up with it. And over time, I actually wore it for a little while before I actually decided to have it patented. And I got it patented on the strength of one of my coworkers. And another one of my coworkers actually sent in an email to Shark Tank. And,
oh, wow.
And Shark Tank, they bit, no pun intended, the shark bit.
The shark bit.
And I called up the guy, talked to him a little bit. And of course, he was very concerned about what I could say. So I had to kind of explain that aspect of it to him. And he was fine with it. Then the process was tremendous. And as they say, the rest is history.
Okay. Yes. So what was the result of the show? Did you?
Well, I did not get a deal, but I knew I wouldn't because, quite frankly, I didn't have a business model. I didn't have anything. I just had a very unique product that they were interested in.
How much time did you have to prepare? Like how much notice did they give you?
Maybe about 4 months.
Oh, that's a long time. Okay.
But even still, I mean, there's an actual formula of successful pitches on Shark Tank. As far as how much money you made, how long you've been in business, and how much product you have, how much manufacturing you have lined up. I didn't have any of that. I went in there with a prototype. So I was really surprised that I actually made it that far. So when I actually got on the show, I was looking for a little something different than most people are looking for. Most people are looking for money. I was looking for money and help and guidance. Wow. And they were like, yo, this is not tuition. I'm not doing this with you, which made sense to me because they have guys that are coming on that already have all those things that they're looking for. And all they have to do is just give them money. Then they sit back and they just rake in whatever money that, whoever they supporters is making. So they didn't have any interest in me. They did like my product though. They really did. And the funny thing is I know the show was only maybe 8 to 10 minutes, but you're actually in there for a long time. I was in there for almost an hour. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was a lot of small talk, and I lost a lot of my ideas. And there's a couple things I wish I would have said that I regret. I wish I would have talked to Damon a little more about being my LL Cool J. Because I don't know if you know a lot about Damon John, but he, LL Cool J, they're from the same neighborhood.
Okay.
So he was one of the guys that kind of got Damon John rolling.
Very
with the
cool.
Google. So I started to hit him with that, but I just kind of lost my train once, we kind of got distracted with other topics.
I bet you it's really nerve-wracking. So is it like on a first take, or do you get to start over? Or do you just sit there and you pitch?
Right, yeah, it is pretty nerve-wracking because before you start, you're looking at the sharks and they're looking at you.
Uh-huh.
And, they're getting the lighting right and the sound right and all this kind of stuff. And that's the very first time you see them, and I haven't seen them since.
Well, is there a studio audience, or is it just it's just the sharks?
Just the sharks.
Well, that's easier. I mean, I would rather just be the sharks than a studio audience.
I mean, I was nervous.
I would vomit on TV.
Well, one of the things that helped me kind of get through that is I just kind of, I leaned on some of my experiences and some of the people that I have talked to in my career. I'm like, I've talked to quite a few.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. So I'm like, these guys, as big as they are, and as important as they are for this show, they're just people.
Yeah.
And I kind of use that to help me get through a lot of stuff. Now, it was my product, so I knew a lot about it. They didn't know anything. So that also helped my confidence. I'm like, they have no idea what I'm about to say. So if I mess up, they're not going to really know. Right. So
true.
So that just kind of helped me be a little more confident in my delivery.
Well, I was curious before this interview, so I looked at the Shark Tank application. And one of the things that the criteria actually for this upcoming application year, they are actually highlighting and asking for people who are wanting to be entrepreneurs and business people. Like, shoot, Rose, you and I should go on there for Punk Rats.
Right.
You should apply. I mean, because they're saying, I'm not kidding. They're saying it's not just, you don't have to just have a product. They're asking for business people, business ideas, entrepreneurship. And me, my sister will tell you, I'm doing 1,000 million things because we only have one life to do all these things.
That's right. That's right. And that's going to keep you young.
So where's the Tie Keep at now? Are you in stores? Did you pursue it? Where has it gone?
Yeah. How's the business?
Yeah, I have my own website. It's doing well. It does a lot better when the show re-airs. And one of the things that is kind of unique about my product is people have to see it. Which is also why I thought Lori, who's the I can't think of the name of the show that she does, the shopping and home show where people demonstrate their products. But that would have been a perfect place to go on as well. But yeah, I'm on Amazon and I have my own website.
That's really cool.
Yeah, my website is called totaltiekeep.com.
Okay. Well, yeah, I was looking at it and I had seen that you have directions on there on how to do it. And I just think it's just an ingenious product.
Yeah. I mean most of the people, well, not most of the people that wear it, once they try it on and wear it, they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. But just like anything, you have to read the directions and figure it out. I mean, it took me like 3 or 4 hours to learn how to tie a tie. Right. It took a long time, but once you get it, you got it. And then, you get it, you got it, you're good.
Well, Chris has a couple of samples and he wore them. I mean, he's retired now and doesn't have to wear a tie at all, but he really enjoyed wearing them.
Right.
And it's such a smart idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just find it fascinating that, you have an idea and then you go and you produce it and then you pitch it. And I just have so much respect for that because I just think that, I love minds that work like that, because you're always thinking, oh, I wish I had something that could do this or that could do that, or, make people's lives easier, innovation and just thinking outside the box. And when I first heard it, I was like, gosh, why did it take this long for someone to figure that out? And I understand the tie clip, but like you said, a tie clip can, it can kind of bunch up too. Right. Sometimes you can see a sloppy tie clip when it's not perfectly horizontal and then it starts to slip, and it just kind of gives you that first impression.
Right.
So, you know what drives me crazy?
What?
Is seeing all these hacks on TikTok. And I'm like, what? I've been doing this for what? How long? And it's that easy? You know which one gets me? The nail clipper. Did you all know that there's a safety feature on a nail clipper? The typical silver nail clipper. Well, now when you know what it looks like though, right? So can you envision it in your head?
Right.
You have to flip it around to make it become a clipper, and then you flip it back around to lock it. Well, when you flip it back around to lock it, you're supposed to slide it up and it locks it in place. So a little kid can't open it up and flip it around. Okay.
I had no idea.
Okay. I hope everybody's Googling this by now, because I swear to God, there's a TikTok out there with the fingernail clippers, or just how to like kill a potato or anything, just these hacks, you know?
Right.
And imagine, you know, if you would have come up with this idea in middle school.
Right. I mean, I think a lot of people have some wonderful ideas, but they just don't take it anywhere. Right. And how many
admire that you went forward with your idea and that's even as far as to patent it. I mean, that's impressive.
Yeah. How many times have you seen something and you were like, oh my God, I had that idea, but unfortunately.
Right. I mean, someone had to think about putting the eraser, like attaching it to the pencil.
Right.
You know, it's like, man, if only my eraser was attached to my pencil.
And it just seems so obviously simple, right? But nobody did it.
My mother-in-law has been using all her life going to hotels. She always saved the caps. And I didn't know why the shower caps. And I never knew why she had so many. When she baked a pie, she always used those to cover her pies. This is predated before Ziploc came out with their idea. And she's been doing it. My mother-in-law's 90 years old.
See, look at her.
And her mother was doing it. So that just goes to tell you that using shower cap. And her mother used to use real shower caps.
Yeah.
So anyway, she could be a millionaire right now.
Yeah, if she would have just took it to the patent office.
Well, you know what? This, you just live such an interesting life. I do have another question about this whole thing with the tie, your job. I mean, do you get to travel because of Total Tie? Like, do you go to conferences and stuff to promote your ties?
I have.
I've done your tie.
Right. I do have ties too, which come with matching Total Tie keeps, which is a little different which is something that no one else is offering. But yes, I have gone on a couple of trade shows. I did a couple of booths at, I did my homecoming. Okay. I went to Florida to do a show for Christmas. I shot a commercial. I went to, I think that's probably the only 4 things that I've done. I've gotten a few invites, but I just don't have the time to do it. And that was one of the reasons why I didn't get a deal. They're like, dude, you're a federal agent. You don't have time to make us any money.
Yeah.
I was like, well, could you guys help me? And they're like, nah.
We need to get you a celebrity endorsement is what you need.
That would always be nice.
Okay, if anybody's listening out there, you know, let us know. Plug your website address again.
It's totaltiekeep.com.
Okay. And he's on our website. Go to our website. His link to his awesome company is on there. And like he says, it's not just what he came up with, invented. You have, I think I went on there and like you said, you have ties, and don't you have socks?
I have socks and collar stays, you know, sometimes you see the guys' collars and they're like turned up at the corner. You know, that's all part of, and my company's called First Impression, and it's based on, you know, exactly what we talked about earlier, is that when people see you, especially the ones that don't have a chance to talk to you, they pretty much make an assumption about what kind of person you are on what they see. And when that's, you know, sharp and crisp, then you're starting off very well.
What's that saying? You never get a second chance to make a first impression.
That's right. And there's another one, first impression, lasting impression.
Right.
There you go.
Right.
You know, Chris is going to really love hearing this episode, because my husband is all about being a sharp dressed man. And even during COVID, when everybody else was wearing jeans, and he was going in still wearing a full suit and tie, because he just said, you never know that one person you were going to see.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah. So, you know, I could talk to you all day about all the cool things you do in your life. But I think my sister, Punk Brat Rose, has some questions for our lightning round.
All right, let's go.
Okay, so I'm just going to ask you a series of questions, and just tell me the first thing that pops in your head.
Oh, I'm nervous.
They're not real deep.
Nervous.
This is just fun, and just to kind of get to know you a little bit better, you know, outside the whole, you know, what we all know about you. So, Okay. First question. What was your first job?
I worked in records filing, some division of the Army. It was one of those summer jobs. Remember those summer jobs in Camp Zama?
The summer hire jobs, yes.
Right. It was one of those.
That was mine.
I used to file. My boss's name was James Spurlock. I still remember. Yeah, I used to file stuff. I don't even know what it was.
Very cool. Okay. So do you have a nickname?
I do. Although a lot of people call me LJ, but it's probably Dre. My middle name is Andre, and they just shortened it to Dre. So that's the closest thing I have to that.
Our nickname for you will always be Littlejohn, the Zamanites.
But that's like my last name. I mean, I don't know if that's considered unless you just, like Lil John or something like that.
Okay. Next, what is the weirdest food you've ever eaten?
It's been quite a few things. I was in Malaysia last summer, and I had this squid. I chewed on it forever. I thought I was gonna have to blow. I thought I could blow a bubble. I chewed on it for so long, and it was so fresh that it moved a little.
Ooh.
But the person that was hosting us was very insistent about us trying it, and I did, and it was okay. I mean, I love seafood, but usually it's not living.
Right. What is the last song you listened to?
Biggie, the Notorious Big. Give Me One More Chance. I listened to it coming home today. I love that song.
So, what superpower do you wish you had?
Probably to be able to speak every language in the world.
That's a good one.
That would be a good one, right?
Yep.
Instead
Speaking
of just making words to songs.
Right. My next question, how many languages do you speak or understand?
One.
Okay.
I know a couple of words of French and Japanese, but I can't hold any real conversations.
Okay. What's your favorite sports team?
The Dallas Cowboys. That's yours too, right?
Oh.
America's team.
I would beg to differ, but okay.
Great answer, by the way.
I love your shirt.
Thank you.
Okay, a place you'd like to visit that you have never been to.
I can't think of the name of that. Oh man, what's the name?
You know that place with the beach. You know that place.
It is. It's,
describe it.
They have the
country
overwater huts. They have the overwater huts.
Fiji?
Bora Bora?
No, I've been to Bora Bora.
Oh, sweet.
No, you've been everywhere. That's why I thought I'd ask this question.
See? Yeah. Only someone who's been everywhere is confused on because he's been everywhere. Yeah. Answer that question. That's awesome, though. You're so blessed. I'd love to see your passport.
Any places in the United States that you haven't been to that might be interesting to visit?
I've been to all 50 states except Idaho, but I have no desire to go there.
Well, you have to go to mark it off.
I don't mean any disrespect to.
I was like, what if we have listeners in Idaho?
Yeah, I don't mean any disrespect to any Idahos.
Idahos.
But
Idaho is actually on my bucket list.
Really?
Yeah. So let's see.
The Maldives. That's it. The Maldives. That's
Maldives. Okay.
Maldives.
Who's your favorite shark from Shark Tank?
Probably Kevin.
Kevin?
Yeah, he was very complimentary of the Total Taki. They didn't show this on the show, but he actually came up and was like, oh my God, that's amazing. I'm like, man, put that in. That's what people need to see.
Right.
Anyway.
Okay, and our final question. Should breakdancing be an Olympic sport?
Yes. And when you're really thinking about it, there are a couple of moves. There are a couple of moves that originated from gymnastics in breakdancing. Yeah, called the flare. There's this move called the flare. I think it was called the Thomas flare, maybe. And I can't describe how it goes because I'll sound like a fool. But yeah, it originated from, they do it all the time in the gymnastics. And I'm like, oh my God. I couldn't do the move because you had to have really strong abs. And you probably remember me as not having really
I was going to ask, do you still snap, pop, and breakdance and all that?
Yeah, I battle my son every now and then when he's hitting the folks and doing all these new dance. I'm like, boy, get a little some of this, and I hit him with a little bit of that.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so.
Well, you know what? Oh, go ahead, Rose. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just going to say that one of the things I love about like some of the social media. I'm not a big fan of social media, but one of the things I do love is I like watching all the dancing videos, like the dancing TikToks. People break dancing.
She sends them to
now
me.
I'm just like fascinated because there's so many different genres of people that are doing it now. There's this one little Japanese girl that I follow. I think she's probably 11 or 12. She's just amazing. And I watch and it just loops and I find myself watching it over and over again. And I'm just amazed.
Yeah.
But
there's some good stuff on there. But my son sends me stuff all the time too.
Yeah.
All the time.
We so appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today. We have to wrap this up, unfortunately, because all good things must come to an end. But before we go, we always want to give our guests an opportunity to give you the last word, to give a shout out, a plug, anything that you wanted to say to the brats out there or about your company. What would you like to share right now with our audience?
I don't know. Maybe just to say that, our community is amazing. The brats, that is. And you just form so many wonderful lifelong friendships. And it's just great. I can go anywhere in the world and there's a very high chance that I'm going to see somebody that I know. And it's because of my experience as a military brat.
Yes.
So I have friends all over the world. I don't know a lot of people that can say that except us. So.
And give us your address one more time for your company.
It's totaltiekeep.com.
Perfect. And Rose?
Check me out.
As brats, we never say goodbye, do we? What do we say?
No, we always say see you later.
See you later.
See you later, Dwight.
Absolutely.
Andre, Littlejohn. We appreciate you a lot. Take care.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye. Wow, what a great interview. What an exciting life.
Yeah, that's pretty
policeman.
cool.
How adventurous. Like I said in the interview, I don't know if I could have a second chance to do something totally different than what I did in my lifetime now. I would be like a police officer or do something really exciting. I don't think I could join the military, to be honest, but I would like to be a firewoman or a policewoman. That would be really cool.
I think you could join the military. I mean, I wore combat boots.
I don't know, because I want to be near my family, and you know what I mean? You would think that I would love to travel and be away, but I want to be near everyone. I don't know if I could handle being away from everyone.
Well, I was lucky when I was in the National Guard. I didn't have to travel. We were still, it was pretty much peacetime. So
yeah,
I didn't have to see any combat, which was cool.
Oh my gosh, Rose. Guess who we forgot to give a shout out to?
Who?
2 people, actually, 2.
What?
First of all, who created our logo?
Oh.
Come on. I'll give you the honors.
Okay. Thank you, Craig Holloway, for creating our Punk Brat logo. I love the Mohawk dandelion.
Love it. I love the purple. Thank you. And guess who the other shout out is that we forgot?
Oh, it's going to have to be Monkey Boo Productions.
My husband, Chris Adams. He puts this podcast together for us. We really appreciate it. His expertise, and he really does a lot for us. And so we want to give a shout out to Monkey Boo Productions, who also wrote our theme song. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Chris, for all your hard work. And also the sound effects are perfect.
Yes.
Lisa and I are still rookies, but we're going to get the hang of this and we're going to get all those shout outs out.
We will. Wow, Rose, that was fun.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
I mean, I know we're not the most professional people doing this, and regardless of how far we go with this, I'm having so much fun with you. And I really, really, really love doing this with you.
Yeah, the feeling is mutual. This has been really fun. I really enjoy doing this too.
Well, what's coming up next month?
So we have another episode that we are working on. Everybody check the schedule on punkbrats.com. and you'll see a list of our guests scheduled. We got some pretty exciting guests. So we want you to go to the website and check it out.
I think we're booked through next year, right? We've got guests through next year already listed.
Pretty much.
Exciting.
Yeah,
we got some really cool guests coming up. Yeah.
And before we forget, we need to wish Andre a happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Andre. Tomorrow is his birthday. Yeah. I'm 10 days older than you.
I'm a little bit older than that.
So we have that phone line. Don't forget to call us. The phone number is 512-254-5989. There's a disclaimer that all calls are recorded and may be used in an episode.
Don't forget that the messages are up to 2 minutes only. So keep your stories pithy. And also, if you want to advertise on our podcast or website, check out our rates at www.punkrats.com.
Okay, so all good things must come to an end. As brats, we never say goodbye, Rose. What do we say?
We say see you later.
See you later.
Hey, this is Jen Baker. I live in San Marcos, Texas, and I've made Texas my home since 1998, so I've been here quite a while. I was a brat for a long time, and I believe once a brat, always a brat. My dad was Air Force, 27 years. I was born in Frankfurt, Germany, and graduated high school in Frankfurt, Germany. Probably my most unique experience as an Air Force brat was our time in Israel. My dad was working with the United Nations, and so we were the only Americans at the post we were at. We were at 2 different posts in Israel. We were stationed at Tiberias and then also at Nahariya. And it was interesting. I was 10. I was in 6th grade. I had to be homeschooled because there was no schooling. We were not sponsored as an American family with the United Nations. There weren't that many kids my age, and like I said, we were the only American family, so only one country was represented at each post. So I made friends with a lot of different kids from a lot of different countries. I did a lot of babysitting, and we did a lot of traveling, not only all over Israel, but all over the Middle East, which was very enlightening and eye-opening, and now is probably the most meaningful experience I had as an Air Force brat. I did not appreciate it at the time, but now I look back and it was amazing, and we were very lucky to have that experience. I was very naive to what my dad was doing and how dangerous it was and what it all meant. That's my story. Thanks.